That was me.
Can you let me know when we're ready to go?
Yes, Chair, we're good to go. Thank you.
Thank you. So we will welcome everyone and call this meeting to order of the Regional Hospital District Committee of the Whole for Thursday, March the 10th, 2022 at 3:45 p.m. And very grateful to be hosting this meeting within the traditional territory of Tla'amin Nation. We have an agenda before us. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Seeing no one, motion to adopt the agenda, please.
Moved.
Okay, Director McCormick and Director Paul. Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing no hands, all in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Minutes from the Regional Hospital District Committee of the Whole meeting, January 13th, 2022. Are there any errors or omissions or spelling corrections that anyone wants to make? Seeing no hands, a motion to adopt those minutes, please.
Adoption.
Director Fell.
Director Brabazon.
Director Brabazon. Okay, really can't see hands in the boardroom if they're not sort of waving frantically. Any discussion on those minutes? All in favor? Carried unanimous. Thank you. We have no delegations or inquiries, no unfinished business, no correspondence. So report 7.1, Regional Hospital District name change, options, timing, and financial considerations. So first, just want to thank staff for bringing back this report in a very timely manner. It's got some good options in the report. So before moving a motion, I just will ask the members of the board if they have any questions or comments before there are a few different good options. So want to hear what the members are thinking for options. And is that Director Brabazon's hand up? There we go. Director Brabazon.
Chair, I think it would help if we put an option on the floor. So I will move option 1.
Second.
Okay, so you're going to move the motion as presented in the agenda, but with saying that the committee recommend option 1 for the board to endorse?
That is correct.
Okay, seconder to that motion?
I'll second that.
Second.
Paul, okay, discussion on the motion. Director Gisborne?
Thank you, Chair. I've been thinking about this a lot over the last several years, and more recently about the municipality's name change and now the Regional Hospital District's name change. I believe that changing a name is, intended to be a reflection of the changes of the identity found within either an individual or an organization in our case. I believe that there's still a great deal of work to do in the realm of reconciliation. The change of a name should reflect, I believe, the change in the community. So I would like to see, distancing ourselves from the legacy of Israel Powell, but I want to make sure that the change is occurring in the community as well. So I'm very comfortable moving forward with public engagement, but I would also like to see a referendum in the future on this item. That way we can know whether the change is occurring in the community as well, because I think that this process can be very beneficial to the community to have the conversation and the understanding of all sides to bridge the gap of the harm that's been caused throughout our collective history. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for those comments. Any other comments on the motion? Director Doubt?
Yeah. So this is potential motion option number 1 talks about public engagement. And that's step 1. And I think public engagement will happen. There's a proposal in the motion about how that public engagement should go on with advertising in local papers. Papers, not just one paper, to advertise that and get comments from the public. And after that, I assume the board will review the results of that engagement and make decisions after that about how to go forward. And I think option 1 is a viable way to go. It's different than some other processes that are happening within the regional districts area, but I think it's a good way for the regional district to go. When I look at I consider the costs of the other ones, particularly comparing them to the overall administration budget of the regional hospital district. And I think option 1 is a good way to go, get that public engagement.
Thank you, Director. Director Fall.
Thank you, Chair. I concur with the comments just made by Director Doubt. And I'd just like to add to it that there is I think there's value in having, at least as a start point, proposing a name that's the same as the regional district, because having a proliferation of names can be confusing to the public. Even though they're separate entities, clearly, the fact that we're the same people, and that when people vote for members of the regional district or through appointments through the city, they are by default also on the hospital district. It's not a separate ballot. It's not a separate democratic process, other than for Ms. Loifoa, of course, through the allotment. But other than that, the rest of us are here by virtue of our roles on the regional district. So I think there's value in that, and I agree with Director Doubt that we will have stakeholder engagement. We'll hear from the public, and then I think we can take it from there and see whether we proceed down this path. I think that's a good first step.
Great, thank you. Director McCormick.
Thank you, Chair. Just to add to the comment that I believe the public consultation built into option 1 is really sufficient and will give us a good picture of what people are thinking. We don't need to do a referendum. And so I'm very happy to support option 1. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other comments before we vote? Yeah, I'm happy to see this and hoping to get this going sooner than later. And I think having heard a very good positive response from Tla'amin Nation about the name Cathet, which does align with the region, including Tla'amin for the hospital district, I think this is a good way to kind of get things going. So all in favor of the motion? Any opposed? Carried, unanimous. Thank you. Okay, 7.2 is our Regional Hospital District 2022 budget final. And we have a presentation by Ms. Greenan.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to just share my screen. So I'm pleased to present the final budget for the Paul River Regional Hospital District for 2022. In the budget, I will go over the assumptions that were used in developing it, the annual operational costs, the annual equipment grant, Willingdon Creek Village implications, the lease, etc. I'll go over the Vancouver Coastal Health 2020-2021 cost share request, which is currently being drawn down. Then I'll review the reserve fund contributions for the Section 20 reserve and the Willingdon Creek Village maintenance reserve. And then I'll go over the projected residential tax rates per $100,000. The assumptions that go into developing this budget are that the operational costs are based on management's best estimates. Return on investments is projected at 1%, but our investment return in 2021 was quite low. It was about 0.27%. So 1% might be a little bit high. Cost share borrowing, we're projecting 3%. And we would have to, the actual interest rate incurred would depend on when we take out the debenture debts. So we're projecting 3.00% because the MFA is projecting 10-year debenture debts at 2.86%. Tax rates in this plan are all expressed as a residential tax rate per $100,000 of net taxable value. And the tax rates are currently based on the 2022 completed roll values, but actual tax rates on tax notices will be based on the 2022 revised roll values, which will be released at the end of March. And the 2021 actuals that you see in this budget are projections. So the actuals will change until year end is completed, and we're almost there. So the annual operations, when I'm talking about these budgets, I'm talking about the agenda item page on page 31 of your agenda or page 9 of the agenda item. So a few of the things that comprise the annual operations are the Arbutus Street building. And that building right now is leased to the Miclat Recovery Society. So there are no costs projected for 2022 as they will do all of the maintenance and upkeep. The Abbotsford Street site building has a $5,000 budget, and that is there just in case we have debris removal, tree pruning, etc., in the lands around the building. And legal fees are budgeted at $15,000, professional fees at $10,000, and insurance is projected at $6,577. And that is the insurance for the Arbutus Street property and general liability. Note 3 of page 31 is about the 2020-2021 Vancouver Coastal Health cost share request. And that was a 40% cost share request that was approved in 2021. The board approved borrowing of $2.6 million to fund that request. And to date, we have had $135,186 of claims, and we've drawn down some of the borrowing. So by the end of 2021, we drew down $90,141. So there's a bit of a gap. So the balance of that borrowing will have to be drawn down in 2022. So the balance of both the cost share and the borrowing are going forward in the 2022 budget. The Willingdon Creek Village, the costs associated with that are shown on notes 4, 5, 6, and 12 of your agenda package. And note 4 is the annual lease revenue from Vancouver Coastal Health for the Willingdon Creek Village of $1.1 million. Note 5 is the hospital district's, the Willingdon Creek Village property and liability insurance. So we place that insurance and then charge the premiums directly to Vancouver Coastal Health. They reimburse us for those. So you'll see that in the second line down. Note 6 is the debt payments for Willingdon Creek Village, $1.48 million. And those debt payments are currently at an interest rate of 3.3%. And the interest rate will reset in 2024. So we're making plans for that because the rate is uncertain. And then note 12 is $240,000 that is placed annually into a reserve for the Willingdon Creek Village building envelope maintenance and the parking area. So the regional hospital district is responsible for the envelope and the exterior. And the maintenance reserve is estimated at $1.9 million at the end of 2022. Notes 11 and 12 are in regard to the reserve funds. We have a main reserve, a Section 20 reserve, and the contribution is recommended at $200,000 in this budget. $100,000 is potentially to fund minor equipment cost share requests from Vancouver Coastal Health Authority. And they will be coming forward in April with the request. I'm not sure if it is for an equipment cost share or for further capital requests. And we're also recommending a consistent $100,000 annual contribution to the reserve in case we have an interest rate increase or to fund future asset renewal or replacement upgrades, thereby reducing the need to borrow in the future. The Willingdon Creek Village Maintenance Reserve, I'm recommending a consistent $240,000 annual contribution, and that will bring the reserve to, as I said, approximately 1.9 million at the end of 2022. So further considerations on this budget are considered on this agenda: the name change, what's being decided on that, and then there's another agenda item coming up next for a cost share request amendment for Vancouver Coastal Health, so that would also impact this budget. So the tax rates that I'm recommending are $12.25 as a residential tax rate per 100,000 in 2022, and $4.99 per Tla'amin Nation. Those tax rates are decreased because the assessment values increase. So the cost per 100,000 is lower, but the cost per average residential home are higher at $62 within most of the regional district, and then $26.49 within Tla'amin. And that brings me to the end of my presentation. If there are any questions.
Thank you so much. Questions for Ms. Greenan? Oh, seeing no hands. It was such a good report. It was totally clear. That's great. So I'll have a mover move the recommendation then, please. Director Gisborne, seconded by Director Brander. Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no hands, all in favor? Any opposed? Carried unanimous. Great. 7.3, Vancouver Coastal Health Capital Cost Share Request Amendment. Ms. Greenan, did you want to speak to that or further? No?
Sure. Thank you, Chair. Yes. So what this is in November 2020, we had a request from Vancouver Coastal Health for a capital cost share request. The board considered it and approved that it would be that they would add it to the 2021 budget. And then early in the 2021 budget deliberations, Vancouver Coastal Health came forward with a further capital cost share request. But in that request, it looked like they had amended the projected cost of the building envelope repairs and the ECU roofing repairs. But that wasn't the case. They had inadvertently put in what the 60% cost share would be. And so because of that, they ended up, they have a funding shortfall. So now they are asking if the board would approve adding that funding shortfall to the budget. So the funding shortfall could be funded from the reserve, because we did have a approximately $81,000 surplus from 2021 that could be allocated towards that. And also Vancouver Coastal Health didn't claim $18,796 of their most recent equipment grant. So that would mean there would be no impact to the reserve.
Okay, questions? Seeing no hands, does someone want to move the motion then as presented? Mover, Director Brander, thank you. Seconded. I feel like I'm an auctioneer. Director Fall, thank you. Any other discussion on the motion? Seeing no hands, all in favor? Carried unanimous. Great. So we have no new business, so it's question period.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate the opportunity. With regard to the Regional Hospital District 2022 budget final, there was a $11.35 change for the average resident that had been listed in terms of the increase between the 2 years. And I'm wondering what the percentage increase of that cost would be. Perhaps the manager of financial services could help me out there.
Okay, Ms. Greenan?
Yes, thank you. I'm just going to Oops. Just going to bring that up. Sorry, I'm just trying to find my spreadsheet here.
Yeah, no worries.
Sorry, I lost my shortcut here. I'm just trying to.
Oh, that's okay. Do you want, would it be easier to just touch base with Mr. Galinsky after?
Would that be okay?
That would be totally appropriate with me. Thank you very much. I had one more question, and that is, what was the main driver of the increase in the budget this year?
There wasn't, it's not a major increase. So the main driver was, here. Not my spreadsheet, sorry. Okay, it was, so I'll answer the first question if that's okay. So the first question, it is a 0.24% increase in the requisition and a 4.43% increase for examination. And
sorry, could you give me the regional hospital district one again, please? I didn't hear it.
0.24%.
Okay, thank you.
And so there wasn't a major increase. As a dollar value, the increase is it's only $2,383.
Okay.
So the main driver is simply just operational cost increases.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Ms. Green, and thank you, Chair. I appreciate the opportunity for questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Galinsky. Okay, I don't see anyone else needing any questions answered, so we have no closed session, so we are adjourned at 4:07. Thank you very much, everyone.